Hello everybody, it's Tommy and welcome back to another speed build for the Disney save. Today we are going to be building another lot for Lilo and Stitch. This one is based on the animal rescue clinic that they adopt Stitch from. It's kind of shown as a dog pound in the film, and from very early planning stages of the save file, one of my patrons had the idea of taking this building and making it into a vet clinic that was based on Lilo and Stitch, and specifically obviously putting it in this world. It was one of those lots where when we were planning it had to be here. I haven't done a vet clinic for the save file, and you really do need one for that career. I also love animals. I wanted to be a veterinarian when I was younger, so it's one of the careers that I am definitely super interested in playing in the game, and it's good to have a couple for variety. I think you actually have to have at least one or two around if you have the cats and dogs pack installed. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that is true, because your cats and dogs will get sick pretty frequently from what I can tell, and they have to have some way to get better so you can bring them to a vet clinic. So we're taking this animal rescue and turning it into a vet clinic, obviously keeping it pretty identical to the original one as far as the shape of the building and making it look like and have similar elements to the dog pound that Stitch is adopted from, but then having some extra space be saved specifically for the vet clinic itself. Kind of shocking in a way that we didn't get a couple of more lot types when they added the cats and dogs pack, because I think having a pound of some kind or an animal rescue that you can go and adopt animals from and see them physically rather than doing it over the phone would have been such an interesting feature. And I believe that is a feature in the game where you can go on your phone and look at different pets that need to be adopted from shelters, and the concept of strays is in the game. So it's a little bit surprising that you're not actually able to implement that in a physical way. Also, when I was building this, I thought to myself, we could totally do dog parks. It's not a lot type, but you could just do a park and then do a ton of things that are really great for dogs and cats specifically, and then people could bring their pets there and let them play in like fenced off areas and things like that. So that's something we could definitely do as a fun lot type for the save file, maybe when we do Brindleton Bay, because that'll be a very cats and dogs heavy type of world, obviously. Now, from doing some research from Lilo and Stitch, this building is actually called Aloha Animal Rescue. It had a couple of different forms when I was trying to find any images of the outside of the building. I recently sort of watched Lilo and Stitch a little bit in preparation for some of the builds and things that I was doing, but also I think my fiance just sort of threw it on one night when we were hanging out. So I remembered and like caught some glimpses of things here and there in the background, and I recall that they sort of just like appear here. They don't really show the scenery of what the outside of the building looks like, which is kind of weird for Lilo and Stitch because they really were heavy on like the usage of showing the surrounding area and lots of artwork showing like the architecture and really beautiful depictions of like Hawaii and just trying to show you how the island actually looks and the buildings and all of that. But luckily this film spawned like 3 or 4 more films and then a TV show, which has been a really big help when doing a lot of these builds, and so I was able to find reference from some of those. However, there was 2 different versions of this building. They're almost identical in shape. The biggest difference really is that one of them was like a really awful bright bubblegum pink color that I'm sure in real life probably wouldn't even look that bad. I mean awful in the sense that I was trying to picture it next to the other Lilo and Stitch houses and things that I am building for this movie and like the area and the neighborhood that this building would be sitting in, and thinking to myself that I just hated the thought of trying to do this like bright Barbie pink colored building in Sulani when we could just use like these nicer tropical colors and greens and browns and oranges and blues and like a lot of the colors that are built into the Island Living pack itself. Then I found another screenshot that is probably from something else. I don't know which version is which, if the pink house is from like a particular movie or if this version is from a particular one. I don't know the difference, but I found the same exact animal rescue, but it was just completely different in terms of color scheming, and I liked it a lot better because it looked a little bit more natural. It had the same or similar colored like red roofing, some green trim, and some natural wood tones and things that I felt like were going to translate over really well to the game. So that is ultimately the version that I went with. I tried to keep it as similar as possible as far as shape goes for the exterior, but then I was also kind of planning in my head that this had to function not only as an animal rescue that it's shown in the film, but I have to make sure that I have enough room here at least for one larger-ish office for the actual vet that will will work here. At this time, we do not have that many vets in the save file. Technically, the only one is Ellie from the Up House, and as you guys know recently, I have been sort of exploring the idea of removing some of those Sims I've created that are technically passed from their films and not having them immediately available in the save file, but rather have them on the gallery as bonus characters. But as it stands, she's currently our only veterinarian that you can actually like play through the career with. She's not shown in her film to be a veterinarian. It just seemed like sort of a natural choice given her character, and she is a zookeeper and definitely loves animals, so it was kind of in line with one of the only things we have in the game that would sort of translate well for her character. And I've been thinking about it, and I can't think of too many Disney characters that are veterinarians. Like, I can't come up with one that is one specifically, and it would be interesting to think of some characters that we're going to eventually have to make at least one or two be veterinarians, and who would that be? If you have some good recommendations, please comment them down below and let me know, because I cannot think of any off the top of my head. We're going to have to come up with a few, especially if I remove Ellie, so that that option is available for people to be able to actually play with the clinic that I am building here. Other than just taking your pet here on a trip, you can like actually play through the career. So if you can come up with any Disney characters that are veterinarians, please let me know and jog my memory, because I cannot think of any. But other than that, we might have to find a character that is close and maybe doesn't have a job that's represented well in the save, like Ellie, where she was a zookeeper, so then making her a veterinarian kind of makes a lot more sense. I recently purchased High School Years because of the sale that The Sims is doing. Thank God. I'm so done with paying full price for the expansion packs, and I'm really excited that even though I was in the UK at the time, it was still a pretty good deal. They weren't doing 50% off of expansion packs here like I heard that they were doing in other countries, but it was still a pretty good deal. And so I have a ton of new items in my game that I'm really excited to use. A lot of them are very modern, and there's a lot of new hairs, kids' hairs, things like that. I was immediately so excited to see new traits as well. I think a couple videos ago I did Lilo and Stitch, and I mentioned that there was a socially awkward trait that we really wanted to give to Lilo, and it was not available to me at the time. It is now, and so I will be, of course, updating her like I mentioned. But in general, that pack adds quite a few new traits, which is really nice. And then I've heard that the Growing Together pack adds a few children aspirations and traits as well, and I just need it. I know I do. I'm just waiting for it to go on sale. Usually a couple of months after a launch, or maybe like 6 months or so after a launch, they will finally knock it down at least like 20-30%, and then I'm going to be on it for that one. I do want to take a moment to talk to you guys about my life updates, things that are going on with me, just because we have some extra time in today's video, and I think it is going to be needing a little bit of explanation. There may be a break in videos coming up. I cannot really tell you guys exactly when this is going to happen. I'm trying right now to get myself ahead as possible in content, so there is the smallest break possible from when I leave. However, it's not going to be a small break no matter what. Even if I get to the point that I want to get to, I'm still probably going to have to take about 2 months off from posting videos and at least a month off from Patreon, if not more. My patrons, you'll get your own posts and things like that on Patreon so that I can go over everything with you guys and explain my break and everything. But for YouTube, I guess I just wanted to warn you guys that there would be a break in videos, because I have taken some breaks in the past and been gone for multiple months, and it was like seemingly out of nowhere, but I do know that this is coming, and I knew that this was coming. Basically, I have to go back to the US for a few months to sort out some stuff regarding my engagement and being able to hopefully get to stay here in the UK indefinitely. But obviously there's a lot of procedure and just lots of fun stuff to deal with that I could go into for 10,000 years, but I won't bore you guys with it because it's honestly extremely stressful. So I don't even want to like throw that stress on all of you. I knew there would always be a point where I got to go, or I had to go back to the US for this part of it. However, I didn't think that I would be without my computer and without my ability to post for the save file and work on the save file for this length of time. It's just going to work out that I'm just not able to really make progress on it. But I wanted to let you guys know ahead of time so that everybody knows and you don't think that I'm just missing and that I'm not taking like a random hiatus like I did last time. This is sort of planned, and when I come back to the UK, I should be able to get back into video making pretty quickly now that everything is here and I'm all set up. If you're a patron, you'll probably get some posts and things further past YouTube videos. That's usually how it works. I'm a few weeks ahead in my Patreon posting. That's pretty up to date. And then my YouTube videos are a couple of weeks old compared to Patreon. So there still might be some things that get posted onto Patreon that are not going to be coming out onto YouTube quite yet, but as soon as I get back, I'll be able to put everything together into videos. I wanted to be to the end of Lilo and Stitch by the time I was leaving, but I think I'm not going to make it by just a few things. I technically have 3 more Lilo and Stitch videos that were supposed to come out. We have a Townies video that we're going to be doing, tons of characters coming up for that. We have David, Myrtle, and her friends, a couple more that I will not spoil but are very obvious. I am doing a rental for this world, very exciting, but I like to do rentals for pretty much every world that we can possibly fit them, so that the idea of like you playing a sim self and being able to stay somewhere really works, or you can replace that lot with a household of your own if you really wanted to live somewhere in particular. And it also helps to take away that aspect of making a world feel like it's a vacation location, and every place is maybe a vacation location. Like everywhere you go, you could have that ability. And then there are literally so many Lilo and Stitch characters that there were quite a few people were either asking me if they were going to be townies or just wanted to see made in general. So I am going to be doing a bonus create a sim, and those will be gallery exclusive Disney saved sims. And then we were going to move on to the next one for Sulani. We're actually very, very close to the end of Sulani by the time you guys are seeing this, way over the halfway point. There will be 2 more films for it. My patrons already know, but I'm not going to spoil it for you guys. I'm sure a lot of you can guess what the last 2 films are going to be. Maybe. We'll see. But when I come back, I will be jumping right into that. I will make posts on my community tab so that you guys know, letting you know kind of when I'm expected to be leaving exactly and when I will be back and ready to make videos again. So look out for that. But I just really wanted to give a warning. I've been pretty proud with the consistency and the time that I've been able to sink into the save recently, and Sulani just went so much quicker than I thought it was going to. I'm already thinking about future worlds and what I want to do next and the next one that we're going to be tackling. So just know I'm always working on it, but this time I do have to kind of put my life first for a little while and take a break. It'll be towards the end of the summer, very likely all of July and August. Should be back in September, but I will let you guys know if anything changes. Also, my fiance and I don't know, he's trying to convince me that we should plan another Disney trip because they recently just put out the booking. You can do like the pre-booking for the following year. So they're trying to put out incentivized packages for booking for 2024. And I have been debating this so hard because we just have a ton of stuff coming up. We have a lot of other priorities, but my sister has also been texting me that she really wants to go back. And a lot of the times when we've gone in the past, her trips have lined up very close, or I did actually go with her one time as well. So we're all kind of itching to go, and it's all over my TikTok feed. And some new rides are coming out in 2024. The Tron ride just came out, and Tiana's Bayou Adventure is supposed to be done by mid 2024. So I'm thinking maybe we might try to squeeze one in there. I don't know. We gotta look at everything. I have some unused Disney tickets, believe it or not. During the pandemic, I had purchased a bunch of packages to take me and a couple of family members on a trip there, and then some of my family members ended up not being able to go, which meant I had a bulk of tickets that I had already paid for. So I called Disney in a panic, just asking them like kind of what can I do. Obviously, they were not going to give me a refund. I knew that before calling, but I just didn't know like what the procedure is. Like, was I just going to be out all of this money and all of this for tickets? And they actually told me that, fun fact, if you have a Disney ticket, it's good forever. All you have to do is change the date on it. So when you like make the reservation online, you just have to pick out the dates that you're going to be there. But you can always change this, so you can always keep pushing it to the following year. So I currently have like 2 sets of Disney tickets for like a 5-night stay at Disney World, just sitting on my account ready to be used. So it wouldn't be like a super inconvenient trip to go. And I kind of want to stay in like one of the beachy resorts or Art of Animation. I don't know. We're thinking about it. I'll let you guys know if it ends up coming to fruition. Part of me would also kind of like to go somewhere else in a way, because every time I have an opportunity to travel or like go somewhere specifically on a vacation and it's not just me traveling back and forth from the US to the UK, I don't want want it to always be to Disney. I'd like to actually go explore, especially Europe. So I'm also on the fence with that. Like, if we're going to spend the money, maybe we should go somewhere else. It's a little bit more outside of things that we've already done. But you just get this weird thing that happens. It's like getting a tattoo. Somebody recently described it to me as when you get a tattoo, you don't really know what to expect. You go in, you get it, and then you're like, okay, I don't know how I feel about that because it was very expensive and a little painful. And then you leave and you forget about all that and you have this tattoo and you're kind of happy and you get like addicted to it. I don't know. That's going to resonate with some people and not others. However, I do not have a lot of tattoos, but what I mean to say is when you go to Disney once, you kind of get it. If you have a really good experience with it, if you get to do all the things you wanted, if you get to ride the rides, if it goes well for you, it clicks in your brain. And then you get this like euphoric feeling whenever you go, and then your brain craves that euphoria. It's really probably bad, but I've never been less stressed than like sitting on Disney property for 2 weeks, not thinking about anything in my life, no bills, no work, no anything. So that's kind of what's going on with me. Like I said, when I know more specifically with dates, I will be leaving community posts to let you guys know, but this may be one of the last videos that goes up before I go back to the US. So I just wanted to give a warning and a heads up in case this is the last one that goes out for a little while. I do also want to explain a couple of things about this build for functionality. So I've been using a debug fence on the outside of this, which usually means that Sims sort of treat it like an object that isn't there. They'll walk straight through it a lot of the time, and I was worried that if you had cats or dogs here and you tried to take them outside, that they would roam beyond the fenced in area, which is obviously not good if you're in like a vet situation. So there is, despite the debug fence, there is an actual fence underneath it. It's one of those like shorter, almost hidden sort of fences that keeps the area enclosed. So your dog should not stray outside of that area. If you brought a pet here, if you wanted to maybe just show up here and use the little outdoor area that we're going to decorate as kind of a mini dog park, it's going to have some dog toys and tunnels and things like that. I guess you sort of could, but also if you're using this place to play through the vet career and you have somebody's cat or dog, they can go outside and you don't need to worry about them wandering off or running away, I think. We also have these stalls in here that's obviously meant to be a replication of what's actually shown in the film, being if this is an animal rescue or a dog pound of sorts where they would go adopt animals. This is sort of like very standard to what you would see with like the ceramic flooring and areas for like bathing and each individual stalls. They're kind of themed. I thought about it a little bit, even though there won't actually be pets that spawn in here. I tried to put necessities into each stall, but then also think about like what variety of types of animals would be in a place like this. So there's like one that's set up with 2 dog beds and it's supposed to be like a pair. There's one with a bigger dog bed for obviously a bigger dog. There's one with a cat that has tons of toys and things in there. Maybe it doesn't like other cats and so it needs like lots of extra toys so that it doesn't feel lonely. And again, nothing will really happen in regards to you using this as like an animal rescue. Like this can't be an adoptable location per the game, but I think what you could do is if you're playing through the career, you could go and put pets in there that need it for various reasons. Maybe they need to lay down, play, be on their own, just be sectioned off while you're waiting for the sim to come back and get their pet after you've treated them, and make sure that they're away from like any of the other pets as well. So that is there, obviously needed to put it no matter what, but there is some kind of a functionality reason if you wanted to use it that way. There's also a side exit door straight to the yard so you can bring pets outside to play without having to come back through the front lobby. And something interesting to me, there is no requirement for this lot either for a bathtub, which I just figured you will need in some case, because inevitably, like one of the things that I feel like makes pets very sick in this game is that they get dirty or sprayed by a skunk or get into mess of some kind. So when I have seen people play through this career, they will come in dirty a lot of the time, and I just figured you needed to have some kind of access to a bathtub to be able to actually like wash them. So that is available as well. And then another thing that was not required but I made sure was in here is a bathroom. I can't even imagine being a veterinarian and like trying to play here all day as a sim and just not having a bathroom on the lot. I don't know why that's not required at all. I should have stuck though, random thoughts afterwards, now I'm gonna have to go back in and update, I definitely should have stuck in a mini fridge in here so that you could get some kind of food on this lot without leaving. And then for the actual vet clinic itself, it's designed very standardly to what I have experienced in real life and kind of like a doctor's office of sorts. And then also I decided to pick a lot of the items that are going to be like your starter items when you have a vet clinic. For pretty much every one of the equipment pieces, there is an option for either the startup one or the more advanced one. And I think it might be nice because obviously I would like to do another vet clinic in the future somewhere else in the save file. We could put another one that is a little bit more advanced, has multiple rooms for pets to be seen, has a little bit nicer equipment. This is kind of like your starter vet clinic. And my other thought process behind that as well is that this is probably a very, very heavily used vet clinic. This is probably one of only one or two in town for the locals. And so a lot of the equipment here probably sees very heavy traffic. And so even if it's not like starter equipment, it's probably a little bit more used and worn in. The lobby I tried to replicate as best as possible because you do get to actually see that scene in the film, and that's really where most of it takes place. It has one of those panels that you would lift up to walk through the counter area to be able to get to the back side, which I think would be a slight issue when it comes to Sims for pathing. Like, they're not going to be able to actually get through there, so I might have to make sure there's another door for Sims to be able to just get around that side of the building. But aesthetically, it looks really nice. And then even though this isn't shown, I wanted to use some of these bigger toys and these training items in the little play area, the outdoor area here. Presumably, even if this was an animal rescue, they probably would use this area to take the animals outside every once in a while. So I think just having some toys and some things for the Sims to lay around on makes a lot of sense. And that is it for today's speed build. I hope you enjoyed Aloha Animal Rescue, and hopefully you guys will be seeing some new Lilo and Stitch or some more Lilo and Stitch content coming up next. If you would like to support the Disney Save on Patreon, you can do so by clicking the link in my description box down below or the one at the end of the video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will talk to you all in the next one.